So this is a test, testing my GoPro, 4K, 30 frames per second, walking around, video stabilization turned on. So I was having problems with the camera freezing up, making the footage just completely useless. And now I'm going around. I watched several YouTube clips, and there was many different suggestions to fix the freezing problem. So what happens is you start recording, and after a few minutes the video freezes, the audio still records. So I heard all the suggestions about removing the battery, putting it back in, rebooting the system, which that right there is nonsense. Yes, it unfreezes it temporarily, but it doesn't solve the problem, so what's the point of doing it even? Okay, now I'm wearing this stupid harness here, which is aftermarket, which is complete shit. I don't know what the cops are using. Apparently they got better crap, but that's all I got for now. So yeah, so I'm just gonna walk randomly around here on my property and see how this works now. Maybe I adjust the strap here. So anyhow, other suggestion was to record at lower settings, lower frame rates, and turning the stabilizer off, what GoPro calls hyper smooth. And I just did this just driving my car, and the footage was okay at best, but the slightest movement and the picture just shakes horribly. So at any time this camera is not on a tripod, that hyper smooth has to be turned on, just like I said, because if not, the shots are absolute garbage. So I'm looking at the Quick app. Well, apparently it's still recording. So so next suggestion from again another YouTuber was to upgrade or downgrade the firmware. I've done this too. Again, didn't do anything. So the scenario is, every time I start a recording in 4K, I had it on 60 frames per second. Yes, this is the highest setting this GoPro 7 can handle in 4K. And always the same thing. The video freezes, maybe after a minute and a half, sometimes sooner. Or the camera doesn't react anymore. It turns off or hangs up, freezes up, the whole camera freezes up. And of course then the only fix is I have to remove the battery and reset it. But again, this is not a fix. That's just gonna let you record another 30 seconds or so before it freezes again. So now the last thing I done now is again watching a different video clip and on YouTube, because I'm kind of desperate at this point in time, and I'm gonna follow every advice, no matter how idiotic it sounds, because, well, even an idiot may by accident stumble over a solution. Not calling anybody an idiot, but people, you got to get real. If the camera is defective, if the camera doesn't work, if there's some kind of internal problem, there is no fix by fumbling around. And I like the camera. It worked great for the first year or so I had it, and about 4 or 5 months ago, when I dug it back out to do some more video clips, it started doing this shit. So maybe something is really actually burned up inside the camera. I mean, I can only imagine how microscopically small those components are, and it probably doesn't take much to damage something. Yeah, here's my sailboat I'm working on. Haven't done nothing this whole year, but it's getting cooler now. I'm gonna start back up. Yeah, so anyhow, so don't mind the footage. It's just kind of pointless almost, but I'm just gonna, this is just a test right now. So the last clip I watched, this person suggested to take the SD card out of the camera and put it in the computer and do a full format. Not a quick format, a full format. And I'm using the SanDisk Extreme Pro 128 gigabyte. That is about, I think, the fastest and best SD card in the whole SanDisk lineup. Also suggested by GoPro themselves. It's a fairly new card. I had it up until recently in my DJI Mini 2 drone. Never failed there. Drone footage always works, no hanging up there. And that does 4K 30 frames per second as well. And considering how fast that processor has to run in that little drone by capturing images that rapidly change, so the GoPro really shouldn't have any problems at all. So yes, this is what I did. I did format, did a full format, not a quick format, a full format in my computer. Took about 45 minutes, almost an hour, because those SD cards, they don't format all that fast if you do a full format. Regardless, and then I followed again these instructions from the last YouTube clip I watched. So I downloaded the latest firmware from GoPro, put it on that SD card, and did the update again. I've done it a few times before, but this person also suggested, regardless, do the update again. And so I did. Then I went, the first thing I did, I've combined now all the different suggestions from different YouTubers and different people who have had the same problems. So first I put the camera on 1080 progressive. What 1080? I don't even know if it records progressive. Not even sure. But anyways, it was set on 1080 with 24 frames per second. That's as low as you can get it. I didn't want to go to 720p. That makes no sense, because the quality is just gonna be utterly shit. And 1080 is 1080 24 frames per second. That's close to, let's say, a Blu-ray movie quality, which is good. It's acceptable, it's watchable, unless you do some real fancy stuff. But for the most part, especially uploading stuff on YouTube, it's probably great. So, and then I turned off the Hyper Smooth stabilizer, strapped it basically on the roof of my car, and drove around for about 15 minutes, various speeds through town and so on. And I'm driving a diesel vehicle that shakes a little more than normal vehicles. As long the vehicle was driving, it was all good, you know. I mean, the footage was okay. But every time I came to a stop, that little bit vibration that you normally would not notice on if you were sitting in the car or just looking at it or putting your hands on, you wouldn't hardly feel it. But the GoPro translated this into a unwatchable shake. So I don't know what the heck is going on, why it shakes so much, because it was still technically fixed mounted, not on a tripod, but it was basically stuck to my roof, the roof of the car, on one of those GoPro pads. Yet every time I stopped, it was unwatchable. It makes you vomit. See how much this thing shakes. Shakes even more than the reality shakes. I don't know if they add some shake. I wouldn't doubt it. So anyways, as soon as the vehicle was in motion, it was okay, because, you know, now the frames are changing so quick anyway, so you wouldn't even notice if there's a shake in there. So I got back home. The camera worked flawless at this time. Nothing froze. The videos didn't freeze. And it was a total of a 15-minute clip. No disruption. So now this is a different test. Now I set it on, like I earlier mentioned, 4K, 30 frames per second, Hyper Smooth image stabilization turned on, because I'm walking around here, and I'll be pretty sure if I would have this turned off, I'll probably get an epileptic seizure trying to watch this clip. Anyhow, so yeah, this is this test, and see what it does. I'm not looking at the footage right now. I'm just walking around. I don't look at my phone, because I'm pretty sure if I keep live streaming this to my phone as I'm walking around, it's gonna suck that battery down even quicker, or even get that camera heated up quicker. Because apparently that's part of an issue. Those GoPros, they do seem to get hot the more they have to process. So, oh yeah, and the telemetry, like GPS, is also enabled, because the other day I took my little boat on a lake, because I'm doing some experimental things on it and testing the performance on the motor, and I needed to go do some accurate before and after speed testings. And I was thinking, okay, this GoPro is going to come in handy. I mean, yes, I did it with my cell phone too, and it gives you speed by GPS, but I wanted to have it recorded, because I wanted to prepare also a clip for posting it on YouTube and getting suggestions regarding the performance of my boat. That's a different story. So, but that's how it started out. And the clips were useless, because first, when I started out, and it wasn't particularly hot that day. I mean, it's getting into the winter time now in Florida. I'd say that day was about maybe 70, 75 at best. And I strapped the camera on the boat and started taking off. And the clip lasted for, I would say, a minute and a half. Then the camera started locking up. Well, it kept recording audio, but the video was frozen up. I had it set to 4K 60 frames per second because I wasn't sure if I wanted to edit some slow-mo later on in it. And but it was no good. But I didn't notice, of course, first that the clip was frozen because the camera was still on and still reactive. Then I repositioned the camera to a different spot on the boat because now I wanted to film the back of the boat, because I wanted to see how the engine is going to look and how the water basically being pushed off the back of the boat. Yeah, I don't want to really get into the technicalities of that. That's just something for a different topic here. This topic is just about this GoPro. Anyhow, so except the first clip, all the other clips, they were utterly useless because they didn't just start freezing after a minute or so. They were frozen right from the get-go. So with other words, it didn't even record video at all, just audio. So again, to summarize what I did on this GoPro, I did play with the firmware. Upgrade, downgrade. Made no difference. I played with the settings. Lower resolutions, hyper smooth, turned off, turned on. Low light, turned on, turned off, because somebody suggested that. There's a low light setting. I don't even know if it's still in there right now because it seems to be, with some firmware updates, it disappears anyways. But I did that. Lowered the frame rates, lowered the resolution. Nothing worked. But now I'm, like I mentioned earlier, in this last test, where I full formatted the SD card, updated this firmware again, and that's my standing right now. So now I'm going inside and gonna look at this clip and hope that hasn't frozen up yet, because I would have not known at this point because I'm still walking. And if that fixed it, if that video now turns out to be useful and didn't freeze, then full formatting the SD card and reinstalling the newest firmware did fix it. Well, if not, well, in that case, that video is never gonna be on YouTube. Needless to say, because there won't be a video. Anyways, leave your comments. I don't know how interesting this is. The footage is boring. I'm just walking around on my property, just showing you how messy I am. I'm a mechanic. I get shit laying all over the place. But I live out in the country, pretty much in the sticks, and I get away with it. So that's that. Anyhow, let me get this phone back up here. That's it. 20 minutes. And hopefully, well, the camera didn't shut off, but hopefully the footage did work. Thank you for watching. Till next time.